Good evening, Drew.
Okay. Two things. One, I just had an extremely weird thing happen in Skype that we'll talk about. And two, you sound way different.
Okay, I got a new mic, so
Okay. It does not sound as good as your regular mic.
that's funny because on it must be Skype because on my recordings and I did some test recordings and it actually sounds way better.
Okay.
But,
I mean,
yeah.
I can deal. I just want to make sure
Okay.
everything's working.
Yeah, everything's working.
Yeah, well, speaking of Skype kind of like screwing up, I opened up Skype and I had like 10 message requests from
Ooh.
from very pretty female avatars, and that could only mean one thing.
You finally made it.
I finally made it. We finally made it with this podcasting game. They wanted money, and well, it's okay. I mean, I sent them some. I mean, I wasn't going to send them everything they want. I got to make sure I get my end of the deal out of it.
Got it.
Anyway, what kind of mic did you get?
Hold on. I'll find the link. Shit. What it is? Hold on. I gotta get the box. Hold on.
Did you get one of those like fancy Rode ones?
No. Hold on. Okay, I got it now. It is a Earthworks Ethos.
Earthworks Ethos.
Hold on. I'll find the link. I will put it in.
Ooh, XLR broadcasting microphone.
Yeah. If you hold on. Let me
Groundbreaking performance tailored around the needs of the talent, the engineer, and the audience. Ethos is as comfortable in a traditional broadcast studio as it is on the desk of a top streamer.
So
why is that woman's shirt unbuttoned?
So hold on, I'll drop another link in here. If I'm sure you've heard of a little podcast called the Accidental Tech Podcast.
I have.
Marco Arment, one of the guys on there, this is his favorite microphone, and it recently dropped from $700 to $400.
Wow.
So I was like, well, you know what? Let's do it. It literally came today. So this is my first time really using it. I had enough time to set everything up and do a quick test recording to make sure everything still worked, and it does. So yay.
Diaphragm size. Yeah, so
why is that woman's shirt unbuttoned?
I don't know. I mean, they're selling an audio product, but I'm here for it. So
yeah, lots of strange close-ups of Okay, anywho.
Well, okay, so sorry. Your main reason for buying this was you couldn't afford not to?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to make sure I understand. Listen,
have you met me?
Yeah, far from it for me to tell you how to spend your money, buddy, because we all know that I spend, I'm going to talk about some outrageous purchases that I have here in a little bit. Okay.
So I went from his second favorite mic to his favorite mic. There we went. Yep.
What are you doing with the old one?
It's sitting right here on my desk. I don't know yet. It's probably gonna just go as a backup. I don't know. It's right here. See? Dunk, dunk, dunk.
I can't see because you're not.
No, it's right here in my hand, doing absolutely nothing right now. So okay. I don't know.
Cool. All right. Well, let's
yeah.
Let's.
Where do you want to start
around here? We're gonna start with this. So apparently we have some follow up.
Yeah. Last week I talked about getting Stable Diffusion set up on my Mac. Well, some very nice, I don't know, person. They built this thing called Diffusion B, and to read the marketing here. Diffusion B is the easiest way to run Stable Diffusion locally on your M1 Mac.
Oh,
Comes with a one-click installer. No dependencies or technical knowledge needed. And they are right. You download a DMG, you install it, you run it, it downloads stuff, and then you're making silly pictures.
Yeah, I saw that some people had some questions for you on Twitter about it. about getting it to run. Okay, so Diffusion B, stable diffusion GUI app. So they basically put like what is that, like a Swift? Do you think it's written in Swift, or what do you think?
Oh no. Hold on. It's also, there's also a Diffusion B GitHub. It's not Swift. Drew, want to take one more guess?
Ooh, it's not UIKit.
It's not. It's Electron.
Oh, gross.
JavaScript and lies.
Okay.
But that's what it is. It's Electron. Yeah. But it works well. Like, it definitely did the thing. Yeah. Okay. It works. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So
if you have an Apple Silicon Mac and you want to play around with it, there's no easier way. Here you go.
Okay. Yeah. I still don't have an Apple Silicon Mac, and I still haven't played with Stable Diffusion yet, but it is on the list for potentially this weekend if I can get everything else done.
I bet your gaming computer would just kick the ass out of that. I'm just saying.
I would like to think so. I would like to think so. I mean, it'd be interesting to bookmark it on my old Intel Mac versus like my computer here, but we'll see. Speaking of Apple stuff, the big news this week was iOS 16 was downloadable.
Yes, yes, it was.
You know, I like nice things. You know, I usually look forward to things that Apple does in iOS 16, and I've been using this for a few days now, and I don't know, buddy. I've got serious complaints.
You got beef?
I got beef.
Okay. Now I like it more than I like it, except for one thing. But I want to hear your beef first, Drew.
For how long have iPhones been around now?
When was the first iPhone released? June 29th, 2007.
Okay. We are 14 years into the iPhone at this point. Ish. 15.
Ish.
There is soon to be an entire generation of adults who have only known iPhones and smartphones.
That is very true. Yes.
And in this time, Paul, when you get a notification, where has it appeared?
Oh, that is yes, at the top of your screen.
Okay, so yes. Here's my very, very particular Drew-based gripe.
Okay.
I find it hard to see the notifications that I have when I have multiple notifications, and I happen to be listening to a podcast or watching or listening to a YouTube video, because the way that iOS 16 sort of lays this out is now sort of at the top of the screen. We have and I have to say, I like the fact that I can customize what is on my home screen. I can change my font. I can add widgets directly to the lock screen. I like all of that. But I don't like that there's now like an eighth of the screen dedicated to notifications. And truth be told, like, I have missed some pretty important notifications this week.
Really?
Yeah,
really?
Because it's, for whatever reason, maybe it's my background that I'm using, or maybe it's whatever, like the fact that those notifications sort of stack up behind each other, and when I have to like sort of touch through to see them, I don't like it. I wish there was a way to change that. I don't think that there is.
I don't know if there is either. He says without actually. Oh, I mean, you can. You totally can.
Okay.
So you're going to want to go into settings.
Yep.
Notifications. Yep. And turn it on to list.
Instead of stack.
Yeah.
Now, okay. So what's going to happen now when I start getting a ton of notifications?
I'm guessing they're still going to like pile up, but they'll be by application, and you'll be able to see. You have to try it. You have to try it and report back.
Okay. Well, hopefully that might solve some of my problems, but man, I don't know, buddy. It's very strange. The other thing, man, how do you even describe this? So, with the new home screens, you can set it up to have widgets, and it looks like certain home screens are designed to, or certain lock screens, I should say. I'm using the wrong screen.
Yes.
Certain lock screens are designed to have. Okay, I'm getting notification. I'm getting a lot of notifications, and it's working it a little bit better.
Okay, good.
But I also don't have like a podcast in the background. Anyway, the one that I was like really excited about is it looks like your lock screen can change based on the current weather conditions.
Yes.
However, I find it to be very slow, very buggy, and very laggy. For instance, if I were to turn that on right now and I would hit my lock screen, whatever the current weather conditions were the last time I unlocked my phone are there. And then it sort of refreshes as I'm in the process of unlocking my phone.
Really?
Yeah, it's very strange. And I have checked. I know that you can say, only use data or only allow access to whatever GPS or whatnot when you're using the app. And I have it turned on all the time or whatever that setting is. And it seems to only refresh. It doesn't refresh in the background, which on the one hand, I get it, battery life. But on the other, it makes for like a very jarring experience when I was trying to use it. So I've moved away from that. And I just have a weather widget on like the left side of like the area where it has the widgets now. I don't know. Is that weird? Am I being weird?
I really haven't used it. I have it as, because you can have multiple lock screens. I have it as an option, but I really haven't used it because I don't know. I like my lock screen wallpaper, and it makes me happy. So
what? Okay. Let's compare notes here. What font are you using for your time?
Okay. Do they have names? Hold on.
They don't. They just have positions.
Okay. So I am using in the top row the third one.
Top row, third one. Ooh, too round. I like top. I like top left. I like top left a lot.
That's too boring.
You're boring.
It's like it's like your clock is like wearing a suit and tie. Gotta have a little whimsy with that.
No, I've got a nice background. I also like that you can change the color of the font.
Yes, though I picked white because it looks best with my background. But I do appreciate that. Now, what widgets do you have? Some widgets on your screen?
Yeah, I got the widgets. I got weather on the left, and I've got my current stock price on the right, which is very depressing right now. Very depressing.
Okay.
What about you? What widgets?
I have 3. On the left, I also have the weather widget, but I have the small one, just with the temperature.
Okay.
In the middle, I have a calendar widget that shows me the time of my next appointment.
Okay.
You don't get to see what it is; you just can see the time. And the third one, I have the battery widget.
Ooh, the battery widget's pretty good.
Battery widget.
Yeah, I have the 2 like medium size widgets, so it's just the 2, like the current conditions, weather, high and low, and then the stock price. Yeah. Apparently, you can do custom text on some of these.
I think yeah, I haven't played around with it, or there may be applications that allow you to do that. Yeah, I don't know.
I haven't super gotten into that either. I saw somebody had like a custom text one, but I don't know how you do that.
I don't either.
Also, I find it weird that when you customize your home screen, you then have to set the lock and home screen combination. I don't really understand why it is that way.
Because it does a nice. I think you can avoid that. Like, I think there's a way to not do that, but it tries to do it so like you get that nice animation between the lock screen and the home screen, right? Like it tries to be fancy.
Okay.
And yeah, you try to get that where it kind of fades out. I kind of dig it, but I could see people not liking it.
It's just weird because if I customize that, I don't want to have to like then set another home screen. I don't know. Yeah. I'm being very picky about it. That's what I don't like so far. So tell me what your gripe is, because I'm very curious about that.
Okay, so here's my gripe. It also has to do with the lock screen.
Okay.
So when you're playing something, right? You get the little now playing widget towards the bottom of the device, which is nice,
Wait,
and very much in theory.
Sorry,
okay?
time out.
Mhm.
When you're saying playing something, what specifically? Like Spotify?
It doesn't
Apple
matter.
Music?
Yeah, music, podcasts, all the same. Doesn't matter. Okay. Though I this particular problem gets me the most in podcasts. Okay, so you see this little now playing widget. It's great.
Yeah. I got it up right now. Yep.
Okay. One of the things on the screen is I don't know what they call it. The place that shows you your position in the audio file.
The scrubber.
The scrubber. That thing is way too sensitive for me, and I will accidentally brush my phone and like hurtle myself through a podcast.
Really?
And then have to spend the next like minute trying to figure out where I was. Oh yeah, I've done it. Since I've installed it, I've done it like a dozen times.
Okay. That's weird because right now I have something playing. You might be hearing it in the background. Oh yeah, if something's playing, it does it. When it's not playing, it doesn't appear to do it.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh no, it does. Wait, what?
Yeah.
It wasn't doing that a second ago. Oh God. Yeah, now.
Did I ruin it for you?
Yeah, you fucking ruined it for me, bud.
I wish it was a little less sensitive. That story of my life.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's my beef. Though I don't mind the notifications at the bottom. I don't mind the Okay, you say that, Drew?
Yep.
And I just started scrolling my notifications and I see a shit ton that I didn't know I had.
Yeah, see?
Oh.
Yeah. I don't like that. I don't know if moving away from one of these other lock screens where there's no widgets does that, or if there's a way to get them to show back up at the top and only have notifications up on the lock screen, because I guess we didn't know how good we had it, where we didn't have to worry about that kind of stuff, but now we do. I don't know.
Maybe I'll also try List to see how that works.
Well, I can tell you that if you have like the play widget up and you start getting notifications, I feel like you're not gonna, no older notifications. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I'm learning the iPhone all over again, and I don't like it. I'm not averse to change. I think change is good, and I think that I generally like what they're trying to do with this. I have already missed out on several important notifications. Now here's something interesting that also happened to me with my phone while you got this stuck in my craw. Have you ever? Well, before I ask you this, you are also an AT&T user, right?
For now, yes.
Okay, we're gonna unpack that in a moment.
Okay.
But what I have also noticed over the past few weeks, even before my iOS upgrade, is someone will call me. I will not recognize the number. It won't say spam risk. I just won't recognize the number. And I've been talking to a few contractors for some work around the house. So I want to make sure that I answer the phone. But if I'm working and I'm on a conference call and I can't answer, I usually let it go to voicemail.
Same.
What I've been noticing is the call will end and I will come over to my phone and I won't see a voicemail notification till like several hours later.
My wife. She is also having the same problem. The reason I know that I'm not having a problem and she is our children's school, if they have to let you know that, the bus won't be there tomorrow because they don't have a bus driver, or some kid made a TikTok that threatened the schools. These are all real things that happen.
Wow.
They call you, and oftentimes the call happens in we're eating dinner or I'm at work, right? And like I'll get a call, and then like 4 minutes later she'll get a call because they have both of our phone numbers. I will get the voicemail right away, and she won't get the voicemail until like sometimes the next day. So yeah.
And I haven't been able to figure out why that is. I don't know if this is an AT&T problem. I don't know if this is an iPhone problem. I don't know if this is like because I have a pie hole in my network. I don't know. I have not been able to find a correlation.
I don't have a pie hole, Drew, so it's not that.
Okay. I didn't think it would be, but it has. That has had other weird side effects. like trying to book something on Disney. Don't use your pie hole.
Got it.
Okay. Yeah. And okay, before we move on, did you buy an iPhone yet?
I have not bought anything.
Okay.
How about you?
Nope. I was watching people in my Twitter feed struggle with ordering day one because they were playing the CDN lottery, the Content Delivery Network lottery. I have not yet.
I just saw on Twitter right before this that a lot of people are complaining that because tomorrow, the 16th of September, is supposed to be iPhone delivery day. A lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but some people that ordered Pros and Maxes are getting last minute notifications that their phone isn't going to be here till next week. So yeah, Apple did a little oopsie, I guess, but I haven't ordered anything yet. I am still probably going to order my kids' new 14s. I just not have done that yet.
Yeah.
Nothing. I am one of the things I plan on doing this weekend is converting my phone to eSIM just to kind of see how that goes. If that goes well, then I'll feel a little better about that whole thing.
Okay.
Oh, and to pop the stack, the reason I said AT&T for now, AT&T's coverage where my son goes to school out in Nashville sucks. So it is hard to send him if you're in the parking lot saying I'm here to pick you up. He often won't get that text because you have no bars.
Yeah.
I have a cellular iPad from work, and that is on Verizon. And I often have to make sure I take my iPad with me so I can text him in the parking lot. So I think I'm going to switch to Verizon because it just works better out there. But
interesting.
But that's a whole big thing because I got 4 phones and I want to port all my numbers and like that's a lot of work.
That is a lot of work, buddy. Man, moving 4 discrete lines to a different carrier. And are your phones locked to AT&T?
So both of my kids are. That's another reason why I want to replace them. The phones that Jennifer and I have, my wife, I bought the full price unlocked from Apple. Because I've always been kind of thinking that I may switch carriers, and I just don't want to. I got tired of buying my phones from AT&T and paying monthly, and then having to deal with all that crap. So I'm like, never again. So I've just been buying them directly from Apple, without a carrier. That whole add it. What do they call it? Add it to a carrier later. Yeah.
The last iPhone Pro I bought an unlocked one.
Yeah.
It wasn't because I had delusions of switching carriers. It was just because I don't like leasing my phone. I want to own my phone.
Yeah, and then I can decide when I want to replace my phone and not have to worry about selling it back. Or like I can, if I decide to upgrade year over year, I can sell my phone back or give it to somebody else or give it to a friend or whatever I need to do, right? Like I'm not beholden to anything. Connect to any carrier later. That's what they call it.
Connect to any carrier later.
Yep. Yeah, that's the option. Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat. I'm never, in my head, I'm going to divorce the phone and the carrier. I'm going to buy my own phone whenever I want and then take it to whatever carrier I want. But it's probably going to be Verizon because it works. Though I will say I did try T-Mobile, and T-Mobile actually has this is genius. I think all carriers should do this. I don't know why they don't. T-Mobile has this app on the App Store called like T-Mobile Test Drive, and it will install an eSIM on your device on their network, and then you can try it for 30 days.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think all carriers should do that. I think it's real smart. It's a really genius use of the eSIM. Turns out T-Mobile, not as good as Verizon out there, but I kind of wanted to compare those three:
Yeah.
AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon. Uh, so yeah, T-Mobile, it's smart.
I feel like a lot of people
Product.
that I know that have tried T-Mobile have come crawling back to the two other carriers.
I know people. I know people in the same boat where they tried it and they're like, it's fine. I also know people who just absolutely rave about it. And it was those people that got me to try the test drive. And like, I'm glad I did. Like, I think it's real smart because like right from the app, like you can go like, yep, I'm in, and like hit a button, and I don't know, magic happens, and you're a T-Mobile customer. I don't know. But I think it's real smart. It walks you through the eSIM process. It basically also gives you instructions about, when you have multiple SIMs. 'Cause I guess you can have like, well, not anymore, but you could have one physical SIM. But I guess the eSIM can actually hold up to like 8 different ones.
Huh.
The app actually tells you like, okay, this is where you go, and you can set like, I want to use this one as my primary like voice line, and this one as a primary data line. It recommended keeping your existing cell line for voice and stuff, but using T-Mobile for data, which is what I did. Yeah, it's real clever. It's unfortunate that it didn't work out, or I wish Verizon would do that too. Like just, or maybe they do it and I just haven't found it yet. But I think it's a real smart use of eSIM, a way to get new customers. So good on them.
Yeah, I mean that is a really interesting sort of way to do it, right? Because now you're using software. You don't have to send anybody anything.
Exactly. Yeah, I thought it was a real smart way of doing it. So
I think that is exceptionally clever. Give me 1 second. I'm changing the color of the font on my lock screen.
Okay.
Wait,
what are you picking now?
Wait a minute. Spectrum, sliders, grid. What color should I use? Ooh, yeah, it's gonna be white.
I picked white.
Yeah, it's gonna be white. I was rocking a blue, but with my background, I was like, part of it was okay. Set as wallpaper pair. Stop it. Okay. All right. Let's take a stroll to everybody's favorite place, Drew's Computer Corner.
Let's go there.
This is a preemptive Drew's Computer Corner.
A speculative corner.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it's not speculative.
Have you made an order?
That this is more of a precursor than speculation.
Have you already spent money?
No.
Okay.
Because if I were capable, I probably would.
Okay, got it. Okay, sorry. Continue.
So we are approaching the magical time of the year where major hardware and chip making manufacturers are announcing, here's the hotness for 2022 and 2023. And AMD has their next sort of iteration on their processors. Their previous generation was the AMD Ryzen 5000 series. We are now approaching the AMD Ryzen 7000 series. And everything on paper, this looks like it's going to be a slam dunk. AMD made me a believer with the previous generation. The only reason I'm running this Intel system right now is I just wanted to see how the P cores and the E cores things worked. I bought this fully expecting to go back to AMD at some point, and for all intent and purpose, this looks like it's going to be pretty impressive. So why upgrade? Well, obviously, when new chips come out, obviously they get faster. So there's going to be 4 models that show up in this AMD line. They are going to be starting at base clocks of 4.5 gigahertz with boost clocks up to 5.7 gigahertz. They haven't quite broken the 6 gigahertz non-overclocked setting for these processors yet. Intel sort of fired back and said that out of the box, one of their new processors that have yet to be announced are going to hit 6. But anyway, those are sort of table stakes for a processor launch. Is, hey, these are faster, you should buy these. AMD has also not gone, or maybe they have, I'm not really sure. I don't think they've gone to the performance and efficiency core models with this particular generation yet. They're still old core. Here's the physical cores, and then whatever their version of hyper threading is to go to many. Now, outside of that, there's some really interesting things happening with the actual AMD platform. They're calling this Zen 4. Previous generation was Zen 3. The biggest changes here are, number one, DDR5 memory will be the standard for the chipset that will power this. Previously, it was all DDR4. DDR5 was sort of the realm of the Intel chipsets, and now AMD's embracing this faster memory, which is good. They've also been very prescriptive, which I find is really interesting about, hey, don't necessarily buy the fastest RAM.
Really?
Yeah. They basically said that there is a quote-unquote sweet spot for out-of-the-box performance with this hardware. I'll try to find a link and put it to show notes if you're even remotely interested in this. But they are basically recommending that, your system memory versus the memory of your bus on your motherboard versus the operating frequency of your processor. Like, that was always something that had to be in sort of perfect balance with previous generation AMD chips, and they're not going to enforce that as much here. But at the same time, without getting like super deep down a technical rabbit hole here, they basically said, try to go like DDR5 5200-ish or around there will give you the best performance. The other big thing, and this is probably the thing that I'm most excited about, is officially supporting PCIe 5.0 architecture on the motherboards. So that's going to be important for a number of reasons. One, that means that you'll be able to take advantage of hard drives that are capable of PCIe 5.0 spec, which is higher bandwidth, which means faster reads, faster writes. And then any future graphics cards that are coming out will support that as well. Now, here's the bad news.
Okay.
So they are releasing a new chipset to support this. Oh, well, again, before I even go there, they're saying that it looks to be roughly a 30% generational gain over the 5000 series in single-threaded work, damn near 45% improvement in multi-threaded workloads. So this is a pretty big performance boost over the previous processors, which itself is exciting. They are drawing more power, which means more heat. We know how much I love that. But we'll deal with that when that happens.
How are you going to cool that, Drew?
Not with liquid. That's for damn sure. Anyway, so now the bad news here is that these are going to be pretty costly at launch. When the 5000 series launched, they launched in the sort of the highest of the high end, launched at the upper end of the $500 mark. The most expensive processor here is going to launch for $700.
Well, the economy, Drew.
Yeah, the economy and supply chain. That's a little hard to swallow because typically AMD has done a better job of competing on price with what Intel is offering. They usually come in a little bit lower than the current Intel flagship. This is much more expensive than where you could get, the highest end Intel desktop processor outside of like high-end desktop processors. But the current like top of the line spec model of Intel, it's pretty high. The other thing that's sort of a kick in the nuts here too is the motherboards that are going to be able to support these are also turning out to be pretty costly. There's been a lot of leaks and like accidental air quotes like Amazon price leaks on some of these motherboards that are going to launch for these, and even ones that aren't top of the line capital G all caps gamer RGB, even those ones are going to be several $100s, whereas typically a middle of the road motherboard, which depending on what features you need, for anything from USB ports to number of onboard storage device options, things like that, that might be a couple $100s. These are going to be a few $100s and then go up from there. There's even a few that might break the $1,000 mark,
really?
which is pretty extreme for a motherboard.
For a motherboard?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Now,
so you're almost $2,000 just with motherboard and you like 1870. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're gonna have to, DDR5, only DDR5, so you're gonna have to buy new RAM.
Yep.
Yeah, that could get It's gonna get pricey, Drew.
Yeah, it's gonna get a little bit pricey, and like I said, I think when the last time I migrated to the 5000 series Ryzen chips, I think all in, I think I did buy new memory just because I wanted to sell my old motherboard processor and memory as one complete unit because I knew it all worked together and it was already set up and timed and configured. I think I got into it for like maybe 1,400 bucks, but you're right. This is probably going to be closer to a $2,000 investment, and I'm a little torn. I'll be honest. I mean, because that is
That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money without going out and selling my previous generation stuff. That's a little bit of a harder pill to swallow for me. I don't know, and I don't necessarily want to jump in with both feet here. The mistake I made last time was I really wanted to move to these AMD chips. They were extremely well reviewed. They took the performance crown from Intel. Intel was literally on the floor like a fish out of water, flopping around. They didn't know what to do, and they've gotten on track a little bit. I'm not trying to like throw shade at Intel here because they're doing good things for the state of Ohio. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but they broke ground.
Broke ground. But AMD sort of earned my business for the processor stuff that they do. So I would like to go back to it.
Okay.
When I made this jump before, the only reason I didn't get into it sooner is like I couldn't find the processor I wanted. They were sold out.
I remember you would go to Micro Center like every day.
Yeah, I was going to Micro Center several times a week, just like when I was trying to get a graphics card to try to get one of these processors, and they were always sold out. When they came in, they would not get many in at a time. These launched like sort of like right as COVID was really starting to sink its teeth into us and supply chain stuff, and it was a hard time to get these. Now, with these, they have very clearly said, like, hey, these are launching the 27th of September, which is just under 2 weeks away. If I truly wanted to do this, I'm sure I could go to Micro Center and stand outside and probably nab one of these. But will I be able to get the motherboard I want? Will I be able to get the memory I want? I don't know. So there's a lot of variables here. This isn't like when I was fishing for a graphics card where you buy the graphics card and you're good to go.
Right. You kind of have to get everything before you can.
I literally need to get everything, and that probably means waiting a little bit. Which, with a new platform like this, isn't the worst thing in the world either. I'm probably going to. I say this out loud now. I know that I will upgrade to this at some point in the future. It probably won't happen at launch. I want to kind of wait and see how the reviews turn out, although a lot of people, at least with AMD stuff, tend to leak numbers or get access to these things early, and AMD sort of lifts the embargo and lets people review them sort of before they launch, which in the case of the 5000 series, I think drove even more demand because I say all this because I feel like I'm going through exactly what I went through the first time. Well, wait and see. And then I watched all the reviews and I'm like, fuck, I got to go get this thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, so they come out the 27th. So in 2 episodes, we'll talk about what you ordered.
Yeah. Well, but see, that's the thing. I am a loyal Micro Center boy. Newegg, last time this came around, Newegg let you order them the day of, but just like the Apple stuff we talked about at the beginning, it was a lottery and the website became unresponsive. Like, I don't think I'm going to give it that much effort. Okay. What will probably end up happening is I will probably wait till after the holidays and I will see kind of what the situation is with supply and motherboards and memory, because DDR5 is still also a little bit costly right now. So they're having to buy all of this in one go is number one, the limiting factor, because what I don't want to do is buy the processor and have it sit in the box until I can get the other pieces that I need. So I want to make sure that everything else is there and then make the investment. But I say all that to say that I'm pretty excited about this. I definitely want to get into it. There's lots of other things to love about this. Just compared to the one I had previously to what this might be capable of doing, I'm super excited. A lot of coolers will be backwards compatible. So they're changing. Here's a super deep cut.
Okay.
Previously, if you wanted to mount a liquid cooler or even some air-based coolers to your processor with an AMD board, you literally had to like take out the standoffs on the motherboard and thread different screws through and put on a custom backplate. And then that was what was anchoring the thing to your chip to keep it cool. AMD is going to a very similar layout to what Intel has, where this stuff will just mount directly to the mounting stuff that's already on the motherboard. You won't have to go through the rigmarole of doing that. A lot of coolers that are already compatible with the 5000 series will be compatible with these, or so they say. So even if, again, that's one of those things where it's like, is that another expense when I upgrade this? Do I want to replace my cooler to deal with this? Like, you can see that this starts to cascade.
I do, yes.
Yeah, very quickly. But it's exciting. I don't know.
And if you're doing all that, you might as well get a new case to put it all in.
You know what? I have plenty of cases, thank you. I actually have an empty case in my basement right now that I would probably go back to, even though I do like this fractal case. If I were to build another computer, I would probably just take the power supply, graphics card, hard drives, and my USB expansion card out of this one and transplant that and basically leave, or find a cheap graphics card, plug it into this and turn it into another server, or sell the whole computer. Would probably be the move, but I don't know. So that's one thing. And now the other thing is NVIDIA has announced that they are going to do an event here in a couple weeks. When is that exactly? NVIDIA 4000 launch. When is that? There, I'll find it, put it in the show notes later. But NVIDIA has a announcement, like, you know, web-based like announcement here coming up, and it's like the worst kept secret in the industry. Like, there's already been a ton of leaks, and you know, the new 4000 series graphics cards are going to be coming out. They're just insane numbers, right? Just completely trouncing.
Really?
We thought the 3000 series was ridiculous. The 4000 series is even more ridiculous. The big thing here is, you know, more transistors, moving more electrons, more performance. I'm sure they will announce other cool things, but really it's just about increasing the raw horsepower of these architectures. They're calling it the Ada Lovelace, or the Ada architecture is going to be in these new boards. They're going to be amazing. Again, they will probably be expensive. I don't. There's been no speculation about what these are going to launch for, what their availability is going to be. Which I say all this in service of, I would really like to get a 4000 series graphics card, and that might be just as much, if maybe more, than I might spend upgrading my processor. So it might become like this weird function of which one can I get first.
Okay.
I absolutely will not be able to do both of these at the same time. But now we're in a weird chicken and egg situation, because here's the interesting thing about these 4000 series cards. They are going to be designed to take advantage of PCIe 5.0 bandwidth. I think technically my motherboard right now could take advantage of that, but if I was still rocking my AMD system, it couldn't. So if I truly want to get peak level performance and throughput of the card, I need to make sure that I'm marrying it to a system that is designed for that interface. Otherwise, it'll be performing at just, air quotes mine, PCIe 4.0 speeds, which
garbage. Yeah. Can't have that.
Well, if I'm going to spend that much on a graphics card, right? I don't want to be the blocker, right? I don't want to. So that's going to be exciting. Now, here's the other interesting thing. Apparently, the power draw on these things are going to be like ungodly, right? Like,
I can imagine. They're already pretty high.
They're already pretty freaking high. Apparently, they're coming out with there is, like, on top of all of this. This was the other interesting thing. What is this called? Let me see if I can find it. Yes, so there is a new power standard. What is it? Power. There is a new PSU standard connector that is going to be introduced. They call it the ATX 12VO spec.
Didn't they introduce a new one for the 3000 series too?
No. that
no.
those
Okay.
those graphics cards. So so what you're referring to, the NVIDIA reference cards had for the power had like an adapter that plugged into the power supply,
Okay.
rails to power the graphics card. There is a whole new spec out. They call it ATX 12VO, version 2. And it's going to add a whole new connector, a new 600 watt connector.
Wow.
Basically what it is they're adding a new 12 and 4 pin connector. And it's only going to be available on this new spec power supply. These new NVIDIA cards apparently will be able to take advantage of those new things. Because right now, like my NVIDIA 3000 series has 3 6-pin connectors, or 3 8-pin connectors, that go into this. So there's like 3 chonky power supply rails going to my graphics card. Apparently this will take care of it. So,
okay.
Yeah. It's like ATX 3.0 or something. I'm butchering it, but the long and short of it is now you'll be able to buy a power supply for your fancy new graphics card, right?
So that's just more cost. So
more cost,
okay.
Right? So otherwise you might need a special adapter, and you'll have to have multiple rails coming off your power supply, and nobody wants that, right? Nobody wants the hassle of all those extra cords.
That's gross. Ugh.
Yeah. So that's a whole nother thing that's coming down here towards this month and might be available in October at some point. So anyway, long story short, Drew's Computer Corner will be making a triumphant return to this podcast, probably at the end of the month or parts thereafter. So buckle up, or feel free to skip those episodes if you don't like hearing me spend money and then complain about it.
So if you had to pick one, which way would you go first, do you think?
Which way would I go first? Honestly, unless these NVIDIA 4000 series cards are $2,500, which, I mean, fuck it, they might be, right? I mean, graphics card prices are in the shitter right now because, one, Bitcoin price is down. The merge on Ethereum happened, right? Which now, it's proof of stake, not proof of work. So the market is in a glut of graphics cards, and the prices on them dropped. Just to put this in perspective, like the graphics card I bought at launch and paid MSRP for was like $1,900. That same graphics card is less than $1,000 right now for a 3090. It's not a 3090 Ti, but some of these graphics cards are $700 or $800 off right now. And the fact that there is a new graphics card launch imminent also plays a little bit into that. But at the same time, there's no reason NVIDIA knows that suckers like me are going to be foaming at the mouth to get the latest and greatest and hottest and fastest and bestest. They could probably slap an $1,800, $1,900, $2,000 premium on this. Not to say, by the way, that third-party makers like Asus, MSI, Zotac, EVGA might make one that is liquid cooled out of the box, right? It has like an all-in-one cooler on it. Now might be a $400 premium. Does Drew want to do that? But again, I think it's going to be a function of availability and cost second. Availability first, cost second. I feel like upgrading to a 4000 series video card will give me more performance for my buck gaming at 4K right now than upgrading my processor. Because I'm really not constrained CPU-wise in any conceivable workload that I'm doing right now. With the imminent launch of the new Call of Duty and some other games that are going to be coming out closer to Christmas time, I feel like the smart move is probably gunning for the 4000 series. It's one purchase. It's an expensive purchase, but it's one purchase. It won't have any other dependencies unless I want to get a new power supply, which I really don't have to because I replaced this power supply not too long ago. And if I have to have extra wires going to it, like I'll deal because my computer's no longer on my desk. I don't look at the glass case every day. It's on the floor next to the desk. I will survive. So talking through it out loud right now, it'll probably be a graphics card purchase first and then the system upgrade. Probably that might be a 2023 Drew problem at that point, but we will see. That's kind of where it's going to be right now.
Okay.
That could not have been more boring to talk about. It's funny. We actually have a seventh listener. The longest running joke is we have 6 dedicated listeners. We actually have a 7th dedicated listener right now. My coach at my gym started listening. Hey, Andy, if you're listening, if you're still here after all that, he's probably not now. Probably couldn't care less. But last topic for the show today. I bought something kind of disgusting.
I want to hear about this.
Okay. I bought today a Meta Quest 2 headset. Meta is the company. Meta, however you say it. I say Meta.
It's Meta.
Yeah, it's Meta.
And it's Facebook.
And it's gross. It's Facebook. It's Facebook and it's gross. We just we have to move past that for now.
Yes.
We have to move past that for now, and we'll talk about why it's problematic in a minute. Okay. So why?
Why, Drew?
VR is something I enjoy. I like it. The problem I have with it right now is I have a Oculus Rift S headset. It has 2 desktop mounted sensors. It has 2 controllers. It has a headset that connects to my computer with HDMI. So right now, if I wanted to play a game on that, I have to set up the sensors, point them in the right direction, set up my play space, plug in the HDMI to my graphics card, which I've got. That's not a problem. I have plenty of HDMI ports. It's more about just plugging in all the cables, the USB from the headset, being tied to the computer with all of that. And, if I'm playing a game that requires me to sort of like duck and move around a little bit, I only have 2 sensors. They're both in front of me. The tracking gets a little bit wonky. It's fine-ish, but what I find is I will get in this mood where I really get the urge to play some VR, and this stuff clutters up my desk, and one day I'll come downstairs and see it all and be like, why is this still out? And then I'll put it all away, and then I'll get another bug up my ass a few weeks later to play a VR game, and then I got to do it all over again. It's annoying. So I did a little research, and there are some decent headsets out today. I mean, because I've had this Rift now for 3, maybe 4 years, and it's good. Like, it's still a good headset. I still like it. But there are other headsets that are out. Like, you have the Valve Index. There's a Vive Cosmos out there. I don't even know anything about that. And, of course, Oculus, which got bought by Facebook, or has always been owned by Facebook. I'm not sure how that relationship actually exists.
They got bought, I think, at some point. Yeah.
They have continued to advance the Oculus line, and they have this one called the Quest 2. And the interesting thing about the Quest 2 is that it has its own internal storage. It comes with 2 controllers, and for the price, the 128 gig version is only, air quotes mine, $400. And it comes with everything you need to do VR. And here's the beautiful thing. There are no cameras. There are no external IR cameras. All the tracking is done by the device.
Right, because there's cameras on the outside of the...
Correct. There's
the headset, right?
It's lousy with accelerometers and cameras, right? All the tracking is done by the device itself. So if you want to play a game, you pop on the headset, it pairs to your phone, it connects to your Wi-Fi, and I have, because I've been an Oculus person for a number of years now, like I actually have games that are tied to my Oculus account that I can download and put on there. And if that's all it was, I'd be okay with that. Like, there's games on there that I could probably buy that cost the same amount on Steam, and I could play all those things. But here's where it gets interesting. So I could still use this with my computer. So there's 2 ways. The first is it can communicate wirelessly with your computer depending on the bandwidth of your wireless network. And they also sell it's not Thunderbolt, but it's USB-C 2.5 gigahertz certified USB cables that are USB-C on both ends. And I have USB-C on my motherboard. I have a USB-C port on the top of my case. So you plug one end of that into your computer and the other end into your headset, and there's software that makes it all happen. And it's just like using my VR headset without having to set all that other shit up. And it's literally one cable. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And there's a couple other cool features to like. The one thing that I absolutely love is when I'm playing like a simulation type game, like maybe Elite Dangerous or No Man's Sky or one of these like military jet games or flight simulator or something. I have a decent joystick, but there's still a lot of keystrokes involved, right? Like left alt, right control home to turn off the parking brake, right? Like you sort of have to know where those keys are, and I'm sure that will become muscle memory at some point, but it has not hit for me. One thing this headset has that's really interesting, it has a pass-through mode, Paul. So what I can do is I can tap the right side of the headset twice, and the cameras basically show me what I'm looking at. So I can like see my keyboard and I can see my hands, and then I can double tap the side of my headset again, and boom, I'm right back in VR. It is so slick. That right there alone is worth the cost of entry for me right there. It's pretty freaking awesome. And the resolution on the display is really good. It's very clear. I'm able to see like all my little gauges and all the little things that are happening in the game. It came with 2 controllers, which is awesome. You didn't have to pay anything extra for it. Like it was just all one neat little bundle. And I think as a VR solution, it's great. And if I want to take it somewhere else in the house and play VR, where maybe there's more room or I have company over and I want to do it in my living room, totally an option, right? So again, that was sort of the reason I wanted to do this, because I really have a hankering right now to play some VR-based games, like mostly flight simulators. I'm really getting back into Elite because there's been a couple big updates that I want to play that in VR. So I'm really happy with it. But God, Facebook is so gross. So let me put this in perspective.
How bad is it?
Okay, so 2 things. Again, I have an Oculus Rift account. Like I have an email address and a login for this. And when Facebook took all this over, apparently now you sort of have to migrate that Oculus account to a Meta account.
Yeah.
And that process, it wasn't bad. Like it wasn't something that was a pain in the ass other than just like manually logging on my computer and clicking a few like acknowledgements that they can like take my DNA or they own it or whatever now, right? Like that part of it was a little gross. And now I have like a whole different account and a whole different login, and it's tied to my Facebook account, which a Facebook account is 100% required for this thing. I hate that. But that's sort of the reality, right? The other thing is, and this is the bigger, grosser thing for me. Let me see if I can find a link. Yeah. No, that's not it. There was an article where apparently, how do I put this? Apparently, there is a new headset that is coming out. They're calling it Project Cambria, and it is going to be the next generation.
Is this the hotel leak?
Well, that's part of it, right?
Okay.
So their next version, better display, better haptics, better tracking, it's supposed to launch relatively in the near future, which is awesome. Apparently, there's 2 very problematic things that have happened with this. Number one, Facebook just this week, or maybe it was like last week, I'll find the article and let me put a note in the show notes because I really want to. Apparently, there was like an internal group. I don't know if it's technically like an ombudsman, but there was like an internal committee at Facebook about like, we should really think about how we want to manage privacy in VR, and are we really doing things right for the metaverse? Apparently, Facebook took a look at that group and said, nope, we're not doing that anymore. We're gonna nope. We're not going to be transparent anymore. We're just going to get rid of this group.
That doesn't sound like profit.
No, exactly. That's not capitalism. So, in addition to that, apparently there's some like, and again, I got to go find it. And I'm sorry, I should have had this prepared before we did the episode.
Right.
But
prepared us?
Yes. Apparently there's a whole bunch of like new proprietary tech about like eye tracking and head tracking and app usage and what you're doing on there. that it's just going to be more gross stuff that they're going to collect and use to like serve you ads, serve you products. Like they're just going to suck up even more of this data, and it's just gross. It just seems gross.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the Meta Quest seems like a product I would enjoy, like, because it's self-contained. You just buy it, you go, and every time I like, I see one out in the wild, I'm like, ooh, but then I'm like, ooh, Facebook, and then I just go, nope, no, thank you.
Yeah, and I admit, so again, I have been wanting to try to simplify my VR setup for a while, and the other offerings like the Valve Index and the Vive, like those have base stations. There's a ton of cords, and not to mention they're several $100s more expensive than the Quest. So, am I willing to like maybe have them collect a bunch of gross stuff about me? I mean, I'm glad I matter to somebody, but
yeah,
it's such an easy setup. Like it's one cord. It's one cord.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like, I don't understand how these other VR headset manufacturers haven't done this yet. Like, maybe there's still some really good advantage to not doing this, but like these guys have solved it. Like the fact that I could play a VR game, have the headset on with one freaking cable. It's brilliant. Like there's no perceivable lag. Like even though all that tracking and all that computational stuff, and I think technically what's happening is it's streaming the game to my headset. I'm playing it on my headset, or I don't know what kind of like technical fuckery it's doing to make it work. I just know that it needs like a certain rated cable for this to work. They make third-party ones, but this thing's 15 feet and it plugs into the top of my computer case. I can move around. The headset itself is also lighter than all these other ones. Like it's actually not uncomfortable to wear. I mean, I hate to say it, but for me, it's like the market leader for all those reasons. Like it's actually a pretty cool little piece of tech, and I can't believe I didn't get one sooner.
Yeah.
Like grossness aside, and it's white.
I mean, it is. White. Yep, that is true.
Yeah, I don't know, man, but so far it's been pretty cool. My next thing is to figure out how to stream it and not have two images show up side by side on my stream. Because I have some cool stuff that I want to do with it. So I don't know, to be continued.
Now, when you stream VR, like I've watched your streams before, and I see the video game, and I see Drew.
Yeah.
When you stream VR, am I going to see Drew but wearing a headset?
I think it might depend on the game I'm playing.
Okay.
If I'm playing like a flight simulator type game, no. I mean, because it's just me sitting there holding a joystick, and hey, if that's your kink, good. Like me holding something cylindrical and like moving it around at high speed, like if that's you, God bless. But if it's just me sitting at my desk, you probably won't see me. But if I play something like Boneworks or Gorn, where I'm like moving around and making somebody kiss an axe with their feet, like that might be kind of fun to watch me move around and like roll around on the floor and stuff. But I don't know. I think it's going to depend on the game.
Okay.
All right. That's enough.
Yeah, that's a show.
Well, that's a podcast.
We're on the internet, doingtheirbest.com, and on Twitter at doingbestpod. I'm on Twitter at Paul Baylor. And where could we find you, Drew?
Yeah, I'm over on Twitter at Pittfurg, Pittfurg.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening.